¿Qué tal, mi gente? It's your girl, Becky G. One thing I really love about our community is our beautiful diversity. Whether you're Mexicana like me, or Peruvian like actress, singer, and my girl, Isabela Merced, or whatever Latinx community you may belong to, we gotta celebrate our diverse sabor. Isabela Merced is only 20 years old and has already filmed over a dozen movies, including the lead role as Dora in the 2019 live-action film. She's also a musical talent who recently recorded her debut EP following her hit single, Papi. So excited to have this total multi-talented estrella here to represent her Peruvian roots. Thank you for joining me in my lovely espacio.
I'm honored. I'm truly honored, and I'm excited because this smells amazing. And I'm smelling the rocoto coming from the ceviche. I'm excited to try your aguachile.
For everyone who is watching at home, I wanted to do something special. People like to get confused what a Latina is. Because Latinas come in various different sazones, I like to say. And ceviches, you know, mariscos overall is something that we have in common because I know your background is you're Peruana.
I'm Peruana, yes.
And I'm Mexicana.
Love
and
that.
we do aguachile. And you have
ceviche de pescado. It's delicious. It's classic. We love to say that our ceviche is the best. Everyone says that about their own country. So today we're going to find out. I think there's some leche de tigre in here, which is my favorite. Leche de tigre is like a lime kind of salsa that you just soak the fish in it, and I can't wait to just get into it.
Yeah. Okay. Aguachile is kind of similar in that sense.
Yeah.
You use the lime, the citrus, to kind of marinate and cook whatever it is. So in this case, in the aguachile, it's the camarones. So you do it with shrimp. And what I love so much about our cultures is that although it's considered a ceviche because of how it's prepared, they taste very different. And this kind of takes me to something that happens very often with our people, which is putting us in a box.
Yeah.
And saying that we all look alike. But a lot of people like to say that Becky G and Isabela Merced are the same person. I never see them in the same place at the same time. They've got to be the same person. Do you get that? Because I get it all the time.
Yo, I was literally entering the gate to here, and the security guard was like, "Are you here for the Becky G show?" And then he rolls down the window, and I'm like, "Hi." And she's like, "Oh, Becky G. Hi, nice to
Like, she didn't see me. Well, I didn't really look like Becky G this morning. So, you know, without the makeup and the...
Should we start making this? Should we start preparing?
I was going to say, do you want to start doing your, like, sazon to it?
Let's do it. I'll show you. So the lettuce is usually, like, just a garnish in a way. I don't really incorporate it in any way. I don't know, all the chefs do. But I'm going to do it right now to pretend like I know what I'm doing.
I'm gonna get in on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's get you a lettuce.
Boom, boom.
Go, boom, boom. And then here's some.
Thank you.
Then we get a little bit of everything. Okay. My favorite thing is the
sweet
camote.
Potato?
I love.
It's sweet potato, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet potato. You can get as much as you want.
I love the contrast of like the citrusy and like the little
You'll see
spice.
With the crunch in there, the little cilantro.
Yeah.
Show me how you make your aguachiles.
Okay, you're gonna grab a tostada. So you
Love
can grab
that.
a tostada.
Okay.
Gotta have a little crunch. My family loves crunch. Sometimes we eat this with Doritos. It's really random. Very
like
random.
The flavored Doritos? Oh, that sounds like a really good idea.
So you can just like place it on your little platito.
Okay.
And then you'll just grab what is the camarones.
That smells so good.
It is, yeah, it's very citrusy. All right.
Okay.
We'll try yours first because we made yours first.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Y'all, I'm about to get I'm gonna get a big spoonful. Ready?
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
gonna do one of everything.
Done.
And then cheers.
Salud. Boom.
Salud. Period.
The sweet potato really threw me for a loop.
Bomb. Oh, yeah?
Because it's sweet. It's crunchy too, which I really like. You have crunch, I have crunch, but my crunch is in a tostada.
Okay, let's try yours.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Just grab the tostada.
Oh, hell.
Messy.
Oh, my God.
You thought it was good?
Yeah, it was very good. I rate it like a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Only because I can't finish it right here, right now.
Okay, so maybe a 10 later.
Yeah, a 10 later.
Well, I appreciate that because I have a lot of friends of mine who are here in LA, and every time someone's like, "Oh, you speak Spanish? Oh, so you're Mexican?"
Yo, have you gotten the question, do you speak Mexican?
Oh, definitely.
Do you speak
Mexican? I mean, I think you should know that I'm offended by that. It's crazy. It's Something that I feel for and that I'm very passionate about speaking on and educating on, because although we might share some similarities, there's also a lot of differences that we should embrace each other for. In your evolution as an artist, you know, as an actress as well as a singer, and just a creative person overall, has that been frustrating for you?
With me, it's happened so often in my career on auditions, even while we're filming a movie, how everyone just assumes if you're Latina, you're Mexican. I've gotten so much of it that at a certain point, I'm like, I'm not even bothered anymore. Like, I'm just kind of like, yeah, go ahead, make your assumptions, but let me take a minute to explain to you what is right.
Let's course correct. Right. We can help each other by course correcting in that way. Yeah. It's funny because I look back at a certain moment in my career where I could have very easily said, because the industry said, well, we already have Selena Gomez, so.
They said that we
don't need another Gomez. My last name is Gomez. No, seriously, we already have Selena Gomez. Imagine if I never, you know, found the courage to say, no, but I have a different story to tell. You know, I'm from Inglewood, I'm from LA, I'm Chicana, I'm Mexican-American too. And it goes back to the whole conversation of, we are not all the same. There had to have been a moment for you and your career where you decided, I have a story to tell, and I'm gonna say it.
Well, for the first part of my life, I was speaking Spanish was my first language. However, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I kind of had to adjust to the people around me. Like, I had to speak more English. I went up to my mom and I was like, I'm not talking to you in Spanish anymore. I'm responding in English. I just want to let you know this is how it's going to be. And she was like, oh,
that's
okay.
How you feel. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I know what to do. And what she did was she sent me to go to school in Peru for what was supposed to be my summer. Yeah.
But you went from Ohio all the way to Peru.
Yeah. And I lived with my family, like my grandpa, and I was meeting my cousins, and then on the other floor was my uncles and my aunts, and then the other floor was my grandma, and then below that on the first floor was my great-grandpa. It really gave me like an actual appreciation, even though it was, what in my mind was like a punishment. After spending much time there and learning about the culture, it turned into a blessing, because when I came back, I was like, oh, I'm speaking Spanish here. I'm going to sing in Spanish. I started writing songs in Spanish. I started just really embracing my Peruvian heritage and my culture. So I'm grateful for that experience.
Yeah. Who taught you to be so fearless? Because when I see you and the way you stand and the way you speak, there's this essence of, I am who I am and I own that. And I feel like there has to have been a specific someone that you watched and you were like, yeah, that's it.
Well, sometimes I feel like I have no choice but to be this way, because you and I were built little. We're built small.
Yes.
So we gotta like overcompensate for our height, because otherwise no one's gonna take us serious, because we're so cute. But I got my fearlessness from my mom, for sure. Like, she's the reason I function the way I do. She has just gone under surgery because she got a double mastectomy 2 years ago. She just went through 2 surgeries in 1 month, where she's unable to do things for herself. Yet she's walking around. She woke up out of surgery. She goes, "Did you get something to eat?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Did I get something to eat?" And she tells the nurses, she goes, "Did she eat? Make sure she eats, because she gets hangry." I'm like, "You just got out of surgery and you're drugged up and your first concern is how I'm doing?" Like, that's the type of woman she is. But I also learned from her not to give too much of myself away. Not to sacrifice too much of myself. Because in the process, she lost a little bit of her strength.
Right.
Her whole life, she's just done things for my brothers, for me, for my dogs, everyone but herself. That's her biggest concern, is everyone but herself. So
how to take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say, when I rest, I can receive.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's when I don't rest that I cannot receive all the good things that life has to offer. And actually remember when Papi was coming out and I saw you.
That was a while ago. Oh my God.
You really took me there with the video.
I'm never gonna call you Papi, even if it makes you happy. Not gonna call you Papi, even if I kiss your body, touch your body, let's be honest now.
And there was a lot of nods to your Peruvian culture, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I'm literally like obsessed with Peruvian culture. Everything Peruvian, I'm obsessed, and I wish I lived there. I have goals that involve Peru. However, in this moment, I'm just doing what I can to include my heritage, including hiring people who are Peruvian to work behind the scenes. I had a designer there that was Peruvian. All the textiles, all the masks that you saw were from Peru, and we managed to get them all over here in time for the video. I did worry initially, I don't want anybody to think I'm a fraud. So you know, because I did grow up in the States, and you know how that goes, and it's scary, you know, when you don't want to seem like you're like a cash grab. However, when it came down to it, Peruvians were so hyped, and I know it's because they were like, we never get this type of representation ever in the States, all over the place. It's just they're known for Machu Picchu and the llamas.
That's it.
And then they're just like, we're so happy, and they embraced me fully because they could tell that I did everything as authentically as I possibly could. It's great to have that.
Yeah, you can go into the deeper layers that are there because they exist. And I've always felt, cuando uno está ganando, todos estamos ganando.
Yeah,
you know, like
exacto.
when you see someone who reps your flag with the same pride, who speaks in the ways you do, and that's why expanding our diversity and our representation within the Latinx community is something I'm so passionate about. And I want to recognize you for really doing that. You do a lot of nonprofit work.
Yeah, so like Peru is kind of, I guess, we have like the bigger cities that are super dope and like a lot of tourists are inclined to go there. But in the smaller communities, in the mountains or in the smaller villages, there are a lot of women who go through a lot of children who go through a lot. I'm an ambassador of UNICEF Peru, and I work with them a lot. Also, even just through my friend Ani Alvarez Calderon, who is the one who did the costumes for the Papi video. She actually hires locals and natives to make her clothing. And not only that, but she works with their organization. So there's an organization called Misión Huascarán. Specifically, I worked with Tejiendo Esperanza, which just means knitting hope. They made a few of the clothing items for Papi. And all that money went to them directly. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future because that's a whole other thing that I want to do besides singing and acting.
Totally.
Because that's its own beast, and it's just, yeah.
And I really hope everyone who's watching goes and does their research and gets involved because it will be of service to so many other people. And you keep mentioning Machu Picchu. And I remember reading the script for Dora on my own time because
oh my God, I'm
years and years and years ago.
That was years ago.
But you were our superhero. I hope you know that. For all young Latinx kids. I'm serious. Did you know I grew up feeling like we didn't have a superhero, we didn't have a princess.
No.
We had Dora.
We had Dora.
And Dora was, I'm going to say it and we can edit it out, a bad bitch. She was someone who...
I say bad bits.
She was a bad bits. She had a lot of bad bits to her, okay? She had to survive on her own in the jungle.
Yeah.
She was a girl on a mission, and you got to be that girl on a mission to the point where you did it so amazing. And you brought like this really cool, like this grit to her. A little bit of your own like actual Isabela essence, which is this like,
I didn't know it was going to be that big. I didn't know it was going to be based on Peru. So like that was a complete surprise and a complete coincidence because I ended up having to speak Quechua. I ended up having to like sing in that and dance in that. Like that was a crazy experience. And like, there's so many things I love about that movie in particular, like the fact that she doesn't have a love interest. The fact that no one's ever like, you're Latina, say something in Spanish in the movie. Like, it's just kind of is how it is. And James Bobin, the director, he had a great appreciation for my input. And he was always down to like take any notes from me and authenticate it as much as possible to the point where like we didn't have a translation for a certain Quechua phrase in the movie where I speak Quechua. And so he was like, do you know like how to say this in Quechua? I'm like, no, but I can call my auntie and see if like she has something that she can help us with. And I called her up and she's like in the kitchen cooking, probably doing this too. But she's in the kitchen cooking and I call her and I'm like, hey, I need a translation for this. She's like, I can't right now. I'm like, I promise you it's for something really important. Like, I need it. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I'm sure she ended up watching the movie and being like, oh,
that was me, translation credits. Thank you so much.
I know, she probably wants a check. No, but like, it's crazy how I actually got to incorporate a lot of my own culture in that. That never happens.
It's something that I also want to recognize in this very moment is very rarely do I feel like I see myself in other people. And not just like specifically young women, I mean just in general, that 200% who rep both sides without any shame, without any reservation, who are proud to be where their, last name comes from, but also be born here in the States and say, I am the new American. What does the 200% mean to you, being who you are?
It just kind of is like embracing the identity crisis that comes with being a part of two different cultures. And it's a beautiful place to be because we have the ability to see both sides and bring them together, right? So I think it's awesome that we're able to like just embrace the identity crisis. And I think that's the key to it.
An identity crisis, it is.
And I'm sure you get pressure from like your fans too. I'll be like, oh, this time I'm having an English speaking guest. So we're going to do English. And then they're like, where's the Spanish?
Entiendo nada.
Yeah, no entiendo nada. Like, why do I follow you if you're going to speak English? And I'm like,
yeah.
It's
but
crazy.
I embrace it. I embrace it because the truth is without both sides, I wouldn't be who I am. And it wasn't until I started singing in Spanish that I feel like I really got another opportunity in my career to find myself as an artist and what I have to say.
You're breaking barriers. Like
we do it together.
You did really break a lot of barriers for people in the industry. I think specifically for Latinas. Like I never really saw a Mexicana killing it as much in the reggaeton world. You're also singing in English and it's something that I've dreamt about doing and I'm doing it, but like without people like you leading the way, it would kind of be impossible. And who knew? Like a Mexicana would be leading the way for a bunch of other people of different cultures to also do the same thing. And that's kind of the whole point is like we all strive to be the prototype for the next generation.
Totally.
Is what it is.
And let's have more prototypes.
Yeah.
Let's create our own blueprints.
Yeah.
And speaking of creating our own blueprints, I want to ask you, what do you want your legacy to be?
Your legacy, I think, has everything to do with how you treat others. Like, to put it simply, I think that's, at the end of the day, no one's going to remember what you said or like what you did. It's just the one thing people will remember is like how you made them feel. To leave a positive mark and a positive feeling with everyone I encounter, that's the goal. That's the legacy that I strive to achieve. I'm very proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. Thank you for this. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out Isabela in her upcoming film, Father of the Bride. I also auditioned for that to play love interest, but I was like, she looks like my sister, so that's not gonna happen. Also, Sweet Girl's out now.
Sweet Girl's out now. Yes, on Netflix.
Yes. Make sure you check it out. And also, if you're interested in trying out my personal aguachile recipe or Isabela's Peruvian ceviche, go to our Facebook page and grab a plate, mi gente. Besitos.
Thank you for watching.
Today we talked about how honoring roots and giving back to the community is a really cool way to help out by getting involved with awesome organizations like Peruvian Hearts. Peruvian Hearts works to end poverty and gender inequality by educating young women and creating community leaders in Peru, one girl at a time. Thanks so much, mi gente. Besitos, los amo.